Good evening, everyone. My name is Judy Kruger, and I'm the Executive Director of Sanctuary for Families. Thank you. It is my enormous pleasure to present This is Sanctuary.
Sanctuary for Families is guided by the fundamental principle that freedom from gender violence is a basic human right. Unfortunately, that is not the world we live in.
He went upstairs, he brought down a rifle that he had, and he said that he could kill me and the kids and just dump me in the woods.
For over 30 years, Sanctuary has served as New York's leading service provider and advocate for survivors of domestic violence and human trafficking. Every year, Sanctuary empowers thousands of adults and children to move from fear and abuse to safety and stability, transforming lives and offering hope. Our holistic service model ensures that victims have access to the tools they need to leave the abuse, break the cycle of violence, and rebuild their lives. Sanctuary offers shelter to victims in crisis through 5 confidential locations. Our compassionate counselors help victims heal from trauma, strengthen shattered egos, and rebuild resilient families. Sanctuary has the largest legal center in the country dedicated to working with gender violence survivors. Our lawyers work side by side with hundreds of pro bono attorneys to secure orders of protection, child support, custody, immigration status, and so much more. Through a cutting-edge job training program, survivors are offered a path out of poverty towards a living wage career. Through outreach and training programs, Sanctuary educates tens of thousands of people each year so that communities understand the dynamics of gender violence, how to seek help, and how to safely intervene. Our staff speak over 30 languages and work with thousands of volunteers, bringing services and resources to victims. Some of the strongest voices come from our survivors.
Allowing marriages under the age of 18 is not about being culturally or religiously sensitive. It's about children's rights.
In the halls of New York City, Albany, and Washington, D.C., Sanctuary is a voice for change. In today's world, none of us can afford to sit back and wait for things to change. We need to be part of the solution. Stand up. Use your voice. Take a stand against gender violence. Join us.
Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome the Honorable Judy Kruger, Executive Director of Sanctuary for Families.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Take a stand against gender violence. This is our theme tonight, and this is what Sanctuary has been doing since 1984 when we first opened our doors. By being here this evening, that is what you are doing. You are saying that gender violence has no place in our society. Thank you for standing with us. Sanctuary takes a stand with over 17,000 adults and children who seek our help every year. As you just saw, we give them the tools they need to move from a place of fear and abuse to safety and stability. And most of all, we give them hope. Sanctuary takes a stand with our community, providing outreach and trainings to teachers and students, lawyers and judges, police officers and hospital workers, over 35,000 people each year. And Sanctuary takes a stand on policy and legislation, advocating from our conviction that society must be just, compassionate, and responsive to every victim in need. We are at a unique moment in time in this country, and the current environment is threatening to our clients in unprecedented ways. It is threatening to Sandra, who was lured here from Mexico as a young girl and then forced into prostitution by her trafficker. She is among the immigrant clients now afraid to go to the police for help. It is threatening to Anita, who received an order of protection from our Courtroom Advocates Project, which helps survivors seeking safety obtain protective orders from the family court. This program is funded through the 23-year-old Violence Against Women Act, which we fear may not be authorized by this Congress, and is threatening to Rosalinda, who fled to one of our emergency shelters after her abuser beat her mercilessly. These shelters are funded in part through federal dollars, which are now in jeopardy. Our clients deserve better. Their lives are difficult enough, and they should not be terrorized simply by reading the morning headlines. That is why our theme tonight is Take a Stand, and that is what I implore each of you to do when you leave this room. Know the warning signs of abuse. Listen to the stories of survivors. Call us if you know someone in need of help. Volunteer at one of our shelters. Be a pro bono lawyer for a victim. Raise your voice when actions threaten the most vulnerable among us. Take a stand. It is more important now than ever. Thank you for standing with us. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our first honoree. It is always challenging to single out one law firm to recognize among the many in the vast sea of pro bono commitment to Sanctuary that Sanctuary enjoys. But single out we must, and this year our Law Firm Leadership Award goes to WilmerHale. Your program has a wonderful description of the work that they do, that they've done with us and for us over the years. In particular, since designating us as their sole New York City community partner in 2011. But I would like to tell you the story of one client in particular and how WilmerHale's incredible advocacy reunited a mother with her children. As most of you know, children are often used as weapons in domestic violence situations. Such was the case with our client Maria, who after years of abuse returned to her native Mexico, believing that her abuser was going to send their children to live with her. Instead, he threatened to take them to Egypt, where his family was. Given the complexity of this case and their experience with international child abduction, we called on WilmerHale, who assembled a team of pro bono lawyers in record time. Working closely with our staff attorney, Lisa Vera, they gathered evidence, strategized, and immediately filed a writ of habeas corpus to force the father to produce the children. Unfortunately, he ignored the writ and fled with them to Egypt. Maria, still in Mexico, was terrified and thought she would never see her children again. But the team at WilmerHale was relentless. Working with the FBI, the U.S. Attorney, and the family court, WilmerHale obtained warrants for the abuser's arrest on international parental kidnapping and conspiracy charges. After months of negotiations, the father returned to the United States with the children. So the children were safe, but they were not with their mother, who remained in Mexico. Again, WilmerHale sprung into action. And just weeks before the holidays, the children were finally reunited with their mother. The picture you see here is Maria with her children enjoying a holiday meal with our attorney Lisa Vera and her daughter. Lisa flew to Mexico over the holidays and took a special detour to see Maria, whom she had never met. For tenacious lawyering, incredible volunteer support, and generous financial assistance, we are thrilled to present WilmerHale with the 2017 Law Firm Leadership Award. Please join me in welcoming Charlie Platt, Sharon Cohn-Levin to the stage. Also joining them will be Yulia Markina, one of our EEP interns who is working at WilmerHale. This event and Sanctuary's overall success would not be possible without the long-term commitment of tonight's underwriting sponsors, the Ferdman and Schwartz families. Special thanks to Stephanie Ferdman for 20-plus years of extraordinary dedication to our organization. Immense thanks to our co-chairs, event co-chairs, Mary Bernard, David Frankel, Sharon Cohn-Levin, Francesca Odell, and Steve Shalin for their tireless work. And as always, special thanks to Lisa Mueller and Sanctuary's terrific development team. And of course, all the volunteers who make this evening such a success. And last but not least, thanks to Sanctuary's devoted, talented, and committed staff, without whom our work could not be done. I'd like to now invite our event co-chair, David Frankel, to the stage to introduce our next honoree.
Good evening. 42 years ago this August, I was lucky to find and meet Bill Gorin wandering aimlessly through the halls of Columbia Law School, where we were both about to embark on a journey for which neither of us were remotely prepared. Since that time, I've had the extraordinary pleasure of developing a deep and abiding friendship with Bill. Whether at ball games or lunch or dinner or with our families, we've enjoyed both life's best and not so best moments. I've also had the privilege of watching Bill develop into an extraordinary lawyer and supporter of all kinds of causes. And of course, most of all, I've been so lucky to see him as a loving and devoted parent to his extraordinary kids, Emily and Zach, who I hold out as role models to my own kids, and now as a devoted grandparent to Jack and Audrey. Yay. Bill has always been passionate about anything in which he was involved. However, it was not until he joined with Sanctuary that I truly saw the unwavering commitment that Bill gives to causes in which he deeply believes. Bill's devotion to Sanctuary is limitless, and certainly over the period of his presidency, there was not a conversation that we had in which at some point he didn't talk about some extraordinary thing that was happening with Sanctuary. He never tired of being the strongest advocate for this wonderful organization. And while he was always quick to deflect personal credit, there is no question that the remarkable growth and success of Sanctuary over the past 4 years is in significant part due to the strength of analysis, commitment to detail, and extraordinary imagination that are hallmarks of Bill's talents. Bill believes deeply in giving back, and we are all fortunate enough that he has chosen to give back to Sanctuary. And they've only given me 2 minutes, or else I could go on. So I will stop and simply say it's an incredibly honorable and personal privilege that I present Sanctuary's 2017 Zero Tolerance Award to our honoree, Bill Gorin. Oh, here, take a picture. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much, and thank you, David. It's pretty overwhelming. I'm honored to accept this award. being the board president of Sanctuary for the past 4 years has been a tremendous privilege for me, and I feel like it is I who should be giving thanks for the opportunity to serve in this role. For those of you who know me well, I'm going to try and get through these remarks without tearing up. Please go easy on me. When board members become involved with Sanctuary, we often ask them to tell the story of what drew them to this organization. My story is not profound. 14 or so years ago, I attended a Sanctuary presentation at Cleary Gottlieb. Though I did not have domestic violence in my background, I was drawn to the mission. My mother worked with children who had suffered traumatic loss, and families matter a great deal to me. And my family has also been committed to social justice. In 2003, I took on the supervision of a few Sanctuary immigration matters. In 2006, I was asked to join the board, and then agreed to assume the role of board president in 2013. I simply kept saying yes, and it changed my life. I admit the role of board president did give me pause. What right did I, a 60-something-year-old white privileged male, have to help lead an organization that had such a strong feminist mission and that overwhelmingly served women and children of color? I had seen all too often in my career the moment when men are invited in to help and simply take over. But I became convinced that I did have an important role to play and that domestic violence was not a women's issue, but a human rights issue. And if we are ever to have a chance at ending gender violence, men need to join with women and together stand up and say no more. Over the years, nothing has touched me more than the survivors whose lives Sanctuary has touched. There was the young Guatemalan woman who spoke at her graduation ceremony after completing our economic empowerment program. At 18, she had had dreams and ambitions of what her life would be like, all of which were crushed when the man she loved turned out to be her tormentor for the next 18 years. As she poignantly shared at her graduation, with her diploma proudly in hand, Sanctuary gave me back my dreams. Today, she has a full-time, living wage job with a career path, her own apartment, and her children are in school. Or when I went to hear our client testify in an honor killing case, I sat there listening to her tell her story in front of a federal judge and with her abuser sitting right there with her in the courtroom. And I marveled at her strength and tenacity and beamed with pride at my partner from Cleary Gottlieb, Jennifer Croman, who was representing her pro bono. Or my first visit to Sanctuary Shelter in the Bronx, Sarah Burkhouse. After a tour of the 58 family residents, we were taken outside to the backyard, where I watched Hilda Clark, our child care coordinator, overseeing the dozen or so children playing in what would otherwise have been a normal setting. I thought, despite the trauma that these children have experienced, their childhood has been restored to them in this warm, welcoming, and safe shelter. I'm incredibly proud of Sanctuary's team of dedicated professionals, lawyers, clinicians, case managers, safety personnel, child care, and workforce development, who help our clients find the courage and strength to get up in the morning and change their lives. Their dedication, brilliance, hard work, and love is nothing short of remarkable. So I am the one who is giving thanks for all that Sanctuary has given to me. Our theme tonight is Take a Stand, and my small way of taking a stand is to help lead this board and to give my time and resources. I urge all of you to embrace that notion and do what you can, whatever that may mean. Volunteer to read to our clients' children, advocate for legislative changes in Albany, take on a case pro bono, help us find internships and jobs for our graduates, speak out against gender violence, and make a donation. Use your voice and join us in this movement. I want to close by thanking the many people who have accompanied me on my sanctuary journey. To Judy Kruger for being such an extraordinary friend and leader. To Marianne Mailman, Stephanie Ferdman, Loretta McCarthy, and Teresa Havel, each of whom preceded me as board president and taught me what leadership and commitment are all about. You are my heroes. To my fellow board members, you inspire me every day. To my partners and friends from Cleary Gottlieb and Columbia Law School, so many of whom are here tonight, who supported me and persuaded me that I didn't have to compromise between the law firm that I love and the pursuit of social justice. To my family who are here with me tonight, my daughter Emily, my son Zach, my brother Tim, my sister Debbie, and their families. And to Mary, my partner in crime. And to every client who Sanctuary has been able to help, my wish for you is embodied in Sanctuary's mission, that we may one day see a world where freedom from gender violence is in fact a basic human right. Thank you.
Congratulations, Bill. Congratulations, Bill, for this well-deserved honor. Thank you for your devotion to Sanctuary and for being such an incredible partner to me for the past 3.5 years. I'm now thrilled to introduce someone very special. Kristen is one of the thousands of survivors we have had the privilege of helping. We have a short video to introduce you to Kristen, which was produced by April Wilson pro bono, who also directed the terrific opening video you saw earlier.
We are your lawyers, your doctors, your teachers, your social workers. If you are in a room with 4 women, one of them has been through some sort of gender-based violence. My name is Kristen Massa. I teach history in a high school devoted to 9 through 12. My dad is a pastor, my mom is a teacher. My parents have a really strong, good marriage, and I had never been exposed to domestic violence at home. When I first met Santi's dad, it was very whirlwind. We really fell in love very quickly. As time went on, he became jealous more frequently. He would call me stupid, clumsy. 6 months after our marriage, he grabbed me and put me in a chokehold. I screamed, but I didn't really have any emotion at the time. I was just blank. I couldn't believe what was happening. I had no context for that. I remember it like I'm up on the ceiling looking down. It's like it wasn't happening to me. So when I found myself reeling after this incident with a chokehold, I went and had an intake at Sanctuary as a client. And to be honest, I'm sorry to say that I was not ready. And I thought, it's not going to escalate. I don't really need this. But then over the weeks and months, everything would seem like back to normal, and then it would happen again, and the cycle would happen again. So that went on for several years. It wasn't until I was pregnant that I had an incident that was so bad that it forced me to really take stock. He punched me in the mouth, and I was 4 months pregnant, and even though by that point I was used to it, a certain level of violence, and certainly a lot of aggression, something about having a bruised mouth and being pregnant got through to me. I knew that that was wrong. I knew that you're not supposed to hit pregnant women. And when I gave birth to my son, they put him on my chest, and I remember looking at him and this mama bear feeling coming over me. And I thought, I will not let you grow up in this house. Sanctuary goes beyond just escaping. I escaped once, and because my own inner work wasn't done, I found myself again in that situation. Without judgment, Sanctuary took me in and really gave me the education I needed to change myself from the inside out. So it's really a whole journey. It's not just escaping the immediate danger, because that is a huge piece, but that's not the end. The end is when we, as victims, really turn into survivors.
Thank you. Good evening. It's both a pleasure and a true honor to be standing here tonight among such a committed group of supporters and volunteers, each of us contributing in our own way to stand against gender violence. I'm a teacher who works every day with teenagers in the classroom. Given my own journey, I find it incredibly powerful to give others the tools and perspective to think differently so that they can take charge of their own lives, so that they can learn what a healthy relationship looks like and how to treat others with respect, so they can build a life that is an expression of their true human potential. That's what Sanctuary does every day for hundreds of people. That's certainly what it did for me. It's a lesson I carry forward into my daily life, both as a teacher and a mother. My decision to leave my son's father was prompted by the belief that no child should have to go through and grow up in an environment that he was in. From the day he was born, my son Santiago has been my inspiration and my biggest supporter. Although he's not here tonight, I'd like to thank him for being my best teacher. think my biggest stumbling block to receiving help was my own belief that I, an educated middle-class woman, did not deserve the charity that Sanctuary was offering. I will always be eternally grateful to Sanctuary for convincing me that I was worthy and that what they were giving was not charity. From the moment I called the hotline, I was never made to feel like a case. The specificity of the thoughtfulness of each staff person was breathtaking. The weekend my son and I went into shelter, we received a call from a staff member asking us if we, my 10-year-old son and I, would like 2 tickets to go to the Intrepid. That's the level of care that makes Sanctuary such a special place. That and the survivors themselves, the most wonderful, inspiring group of individuals I have ever met. We lift each other up under the guidance of our counselors and advocates. Really, the name says it all, Sanctuary for Families. It's a safe space where women, children, teens, and yes, even men, can come for respite, renewal, and growth. In this sacred space, we stand together to birth a world free of abuse, a world in which each person has freedom and dignity. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dennis McInerney, and it is my honor to be a member of Sanctuary's board and to say on behalf of everyone in the room tonight how grateful we are to you, Kristen, for sharing your story with us. The strength and the character that you've shown in taking on the incredible challenges that you and your son had to deal with in your life. And then in standing before us tonight to help us all to better understand what you and so many others like you have had to do to confront gender violence is incredibly inspiring. Thank you for your wonderful example.